Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be doing another episode of Poetry Thursday, and I'm focusing today on the inaugural poet, Richard Blanco. Blanco was born in Madrid and immigrated to the United States with his Cuban exile family. He was raised in Miami and earned a BS degree in civil engineering and an MFA degree in creative writing from Florida International University. He's been a practicing engineer, writer, and poet since 1991. His collections of poetry include Homeland of My Body, New and Selected Poems, City of 100 Fires, which won the Agnes Starrett Poetry Prize, Directions to the Beach of the Dead, published in 2005 and winner of the PEN American Beyond Margins Award, and Looking for the Gulf Motel, published in 2012, which was the winner of the Tom Gunn Award, the Maine Literary Award, and the Patterson Prize. He also published One Today, Boston Strong, and How to Love a Country. In 2013, Blanco was chosen to serve as the 5th inaugural poet of the United States. He performed his original poem, One Today, written just for the occasion, and he became the youngest, first Latino, immigrant, and openly gay writer to hold that honor. The poem was published in book form as One Today in 2015. Blanco has written and performed occasional poems for such organizations as Freedom to Marry, the Tech Awards, and the Fragrance Awards. In May of 2013, he wrote Boston Strong, which he performed at the TD Boston Garden Benefit Concert and at a Red Sox game at Fenway Park. Following his performances, he released a limited edition Boston Strong chapbook, with all proceeds going to those most affected by the Boston Marathon bombings of 2013. Blanco also wrote and read a poem to commemorate the historic reopening of the United States Embassy in Havana, Cuba. The poem Matters of the Sea, Cosas del Mar, was published as a bilingual chapbook in 2015. Blanco has received numerous honors for his writings and for his performances, including the National Humanities Medal, the Woodrow Wilson Visiting Fellowship, a Florida Artist Fellowship, and a Breadloaf Fellowship, as well as honorary doctorates at several colleges and universities. He was also named the first ever education ambassador for the Academy of American Poets. He continues to write and perform for audiences around the world. In addition to his occasional poetry and performances, he has published 2 memoirs, For All of Us, One Today, and The Prince of Los Cocuyos. This last one received the Maine Literary Award and the Lambda Literary Award for Gay Memoir. Blanco also wrote the foreword and poems to accompany a series of vintage photographs of Cuba, entitled Cuba Then, Rare and Classic Images from the Ramiro Fernandez collection. His collaborations with landscape photographer Jacob Bond Hessler was published as Boundaries in 2017. Blanco has taught at Georgetown University, at American University, at Central Connecticut State University, and at Wesleyan University. He is currently the Distinguished Visiting Professor at his alma mater, Florida International University, and he lives in Bethel, Maine. In 2015, we invited Richard Blanco to the school where I was teaching, and he accepted our invitation. He came and he spent a day with us. He did a poetry reading for students and staff. He had lunch with a smaller group of students, student writers, and where he discussed writing with them, student writers and aspiring writers. And he conducted a writing workshop for students, staff, and parents who wished to attend. The pictures in my thumbnail for this video were taken that day. And now for some poetry. The first poem that I'm going to read is When I Was a Little Cuban Boy. When I was a little Cuban boy. Oh, Jose, can you see? That's how I sang it when I was a Cubanito in Miami, and America was some country in the glossy pages of my history book, someplace way north, everyone white, cold, perfect. This land is my land, so why didn't I live there, in a brick house with a fireplace, a chimney with curlicues of smoke? I wanted to wear breeches and stockings to my chins, those black pilgrim shoes with shiny gold buckles. I wanted to eat yams with the Indians, shake hands with Los Negros, and dash through snow I'd never seen in a one-horse hope and say. I wanted to speak in British, say really smart stuff like fours core and 7 years ago, or one country under God in the visible. I wanted to see that land with no palm trees, only the strange sounds of flowers like petunias, peonies, impatience, waiting to walk through a door someday. Somewhere in God Bless America, and say, Lucy, I'm home. Honey, I'm home. Only brothers. We carved an entire range of mountains out of styrofoam blocks, covered their peaks with sand for snow, the slopes with pines, the valleys with fall maples and live oaks. We made great rivers flow on the illusion of tin foil crinkled and painted royal blue. Crossed them with mighty balsa bridges. We placed townspeople where we wanted, gazing into the shops, gathered at the chapel, or waiting for the train, lapping obediently under our command around the village that took us 6 years to build, and one day, in the backyard, we set it on fire, quietly, stood by the flames, and let it all vanish. Returning shine. Every other Thursday night, I'd snatch the family's shoes from the eerie bottom of the closets, carry them away hooked on my fingers like a proud catch of fish, spilled on the cold Florida room terrazzo where my abuelo sat barefoot, legs crossed, whistling as he inspected my offerings, sorting out the pile by gender and color. Pumps with pumps, Oxfords with Oxfords, black with black, and brown with brown. After the last pair, I'd take my place next to him and wait for instructions. First, a light brush to take off the dust, followed by a wash with his special cloth, then set aside again in neat rows, ready for a second inspection, his eyes approving, pears dry enough for polish to be applied. Only with my middle and index fingertips, with quick, light taps. Así, así, suavecito, he'd say, holding my hand by the wrist, guiding it over the leather, teaching me how to firm the shoe under my fist, palm the brush, and flick my wrist in rhythm. And even after I'd learned to do it right, even after I learned I would outlive him, I pretended not to, knowing somehow, someday, I would need to recall our ritual and him playing his best horse hairbrush, like a violin bow across the shoe's vamp, turning his wisps and strokes into music. That after years of becoming, of saying, doing, and going, I'd need to return to the simple pleasure of returning a shine. Taking my cousin's photo at the Statue of Liberty for Roxana. May she never miss the sun or the rain in the valley trickling from royal palms, or the plush red earth, or the flutter of sugarcane fields and poincianas, or the endless hem of turquoise sea around the island. May she never remember the sea or her life again in Cuba, selling glossy postcards of the revolution and El Che to sweaty Germans. May she never forget the broken toilet and peeling stucco of her room in a government-partitioned mansion, dissolving like a sand castle back into the bay of Cienfuegos. May she never have to count the dollars we'd send for her wedding dress or save egg rations for a cake. May she be as American as I wanted to be once, in love with its rosy-cheeked men in breeches and white wigs, with the calligraphy of our liberty and justice for all, our we the people. May she memorize all 50 states, our rivers and mountains, sing God Bless America like she means it, like she's never lived anywhere else but here. May she admire our wars and our men on the moon. May she believe our infomercials, buy designer perfumes and underwear, drink Starbucks, drive a Humvee, and have a dream. May she never doubt America. May this be her country more than it is mine when she lifts her Diet Coke like a torch into the June sky and clutches her faux Chanel purse to her chest. May she look into New York Harbor for the rest of her life and hold still when I say smile. finally, the inaugural poem read at the inauguration of President Obama, January 21, 2013. One today. One sun rose on us today, kindled over our shores, peeking over the Smokies, greeting the faces of the Great Lakes, spreading a simple truth across the Great Plains, then charging across the Rockies. One light waking up rooftops, under each one a story told by our silent gestures moving behind windows. My face, your face, millions of faces in morning's mirrors, each one yawning to life, crescendoing into our day. Pencil yellow school buses, the rhythm of traffic lights, fruit stands, apples, limes, and oranges arrayed like rainbows, begging our praise. Silver trucks heavy with oil or paper, bricks or milk, teeming over highways alongside us. On our way to clean tables, read ledgers, or save lives, to teach geometry or ring up groceries as my mother did for 20 years so I could write this poem. All of us as vital as the one light we move through, the same light on blackboards with lessons for the day, equations to solve, history to question, or atoms imagined. The I have a dream we keep dreaming. Or the impossible vocabulary of sorrow that won't explain the empty desks of 20 children marked absent today and forever. Many prayers, but one light, breathing color into stained glass windows, life into the faces of bronze statues, warmth onto the steps of our museums and park benches as mothers watch children slide into the day. One ground, our ground, rooting us to every stalk of corn, every head of wheat sown by sweat and hands, hands gleaning coal or planting windmills in deserts and hilltops that keep us warm, hands digging trenches, routing pipes and cables, hands as worn as my father's cutting sugar cane so my brother and I could have books and shoes. The dust of farms and deserts, cities and plains, mingled by one wind, our breath. Breathe. Hear it through the day's gorgeous din of honking cabs, buses launching down avenues, the symphony of footsteps, guitars, and screeching subways, the unexpected songbird on your clothesline. Here, squeaky playground swings. Trains whistling or whispers across cafe tables. Here, the doors we open for each other all day, saying hello, shalom, buongiorno, howdy, namaste, or buenos dias, in the language my mother taught me, in every language spoken into one wind, carrying our lives without prejudice as these words break from my lips. One sky, since the Appalachians and Sierras claimed their majesty and the Mississippi and Colorado worked their way to the sea. Thank the work of our hands, weaving steel into bridges, finishing one more report for the boss on time, stitching another wound or uniform, the first brush stroke on a portrait, or the last floor on the Freedom Tower jutting into a sky that yields to our resilience. One sky toward which we sometimes lift our eyes, tired from work, some days guessing at the weather of our lives, some days giving thanks for a love that loves you back, sometimes praising a mother who knew how to give, or forgiving a father who couldn't give what you wanted. We head home through the gloss of rain or weight of snow or the plum blush of dusk, but always home, always under one sky, our sky, and always one moon, like a silent drum tapping on every rooftop and every window of one country. All of us facing the stars. Hope, a new constellation, waiting for us to map it, waiting for us to name it together. And so that's a little bit about the poetry of the inaugural poet, Richard Blanco. As always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.